Well, good evening, folks, and welcome back to the farm. If you stumbled across this video thinking you're going to learn about how to fix the stuck door latch on an F-150, you're definitely in the right place. So typically we talk about lots of farming stuff, homesteading stuff, permaculture, prepping, survival, all that kind of stuff. But today we've got real problems with the wife's pickup. And I say today, it's been a recurring issue. This is our 2013 F-150 with a 5-liter engine, 4-wheel drive, crew cab. And we bought this truck brand new, and ever since we bought it brand new, it has had an intermittent problem. And that problem is that this passenger side rear door, the lock assembly, sometimes when you hit the unlock button, right, you can hear things happening in there. You can hear the actuator, but that locking mechanism, the linkage, is somehow hung up in there. And that's preventing that door from opening. Now, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go online and I'm going to find the solution to this problem because I got to fix this. And I'll show you why this is mission critical here in a second. But I'm going to fix this. Now, I found hundreds of forums with thousands of, threads on there speaking specifically to this issue. Now, there's a couple of different issues it might be. There's a door actuator down here that actually controls everything that locks and unlocks. There's also a wiring harness in here where it could have some broken wires. Or there could be this mystery thing that just keeps the linkage depressed, even though the actuator is still cycling, even though the wires are still in place. Something's still jamming up in here. And that's what's going on with ours, is the wiring's in place because we can hear the actuator fire. And when this is freed up, the actuator goes up and down 100% of the time, right? This is just a rare thing that happens. And it just, by fortune, happened to happen here this evening when I come to actually work on this. So, I mean, it's, pretty rare that you actually can get in the shop and have a problem be repeated. And that's why I think so many folks have had issues taking these things to the dealer, is because once they force that latch up, they can't get this problem to reoccur for another 60 or 90 days. Well, here I got it to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the key in the ignition. I'm going to roll the windows down and you'll be able to see what's actually happening on this side. Then we're going to disassemble the door panel, and take a look inside there and see if we can't actually troubleshoot and come up with a solution for this problem. So I got all my windows rolled down and you can see now the actual latch, whatever you call this, the pull thingy, right? Why is this mission critical? Well, folks, what's right here? This is the car seat for our 3-year-old daughter. My wife's currently like 7.5 months pregnant. And so very, very soon on the other side of this truck, there's going to be a second car seat. You cannot have kids stuck in the car. Never mind the fact your wife's going to be unhappy about that. That's just straight up dangerous. So, you hit the ditch or something like that and you need somebody to get your kids out and the door doesn't latch, or it doesn't unlatch. So what do you got to do? You got to smash the window out or do something crazy like that in the heat of a moment. But anyway, so this knob sticks down, and if you pull really, really hard, you're able to get it up. That's not a erectile dysfunction joke either. But anyway, so yeah, it sticks. And even now, like, it's hard to depress, right? It's hard to depress. So it was hard to get up. It was hard. Now it's hard to get down. This is not normal. So I got the key fob here now. Well, the key it's got the built-in fob and everything right on it. We're going to hit the lock button. And you can see it pulls it down. Pull it up. But I should be able to freely up and down and up and down, right? So that tells me that my wiring inside my door is fine. That tells me that the actuator motor is fine. There's something in the linkage in this door assembly that's wrong. So that's what we're going to tear apart today. Now, really, really easy to do that. You're just going to open this. There's a little panel in behind here that you're going to have to pull off. And then we'll pull this panel right here. There's going to be a bolt right there. And then there's 2 bolts down in the base of the door right there and there that we're going to pull. So this one here, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to get in behind there, but I think I've got my little prying tool. I'll be able to pop that off. Same with this one. Now, for the folks at home, this is what I have, right? This is not the right tool, but this is the tool that I have. You can buy actual trim removal tools that are meant for this purpose, and they're fairly cheap to get. But I'm at home on the farm. It's 9 o'clock at night and it's 40 below outside. So I'm not running to town to go do anything to get anything like this. I'm just going to use the tools I have and be very, very careful. Now, when I say it's 40 below outside, that's the reason why we're in the shop. The truck's been in the shop for several hours to warm up and acclimate, because if I try to do anything with this plastic at these temperatures, well, you can just imagine this would just all turn to dust, right? So be bad news bears. So when you're looking in behind your door handle here, you're gonna open this up, and right in the back at the very bottom, there's gonna be a place you can insert your little tool. You're gonna reach back in there and pry forward and pop this little panel off right in here. Now, of course, I need both my hands to do this, so unfortunately I won't be able to show you exactly how it works. Well, maybe if I'm lucky, I'll be able to show you how it works. So I got my little tool in there, and then you see that pops out. That's not broken. That's just come unclipped. And then you can see in there the 8mm bolt that's there. Now that one's 8mm. The one that's in behind here is going to be 6mm. And the ones down in the bottom there are also 6mm. So now that we got this piece removed out of the door latch, I'm just going to set that down in the door pocket so I don't lose it. And we'll come up here to this side piece. And we're going to go ahead and just insert, little pop, come up. And you can see it pops free. Away you go. And right there should be a 6mm bolt. So now that I got the trim off of there and the little pocket off of here, I'm still gonna pull this piece around this switch. So I wanna insert my tool right there, very, very carefully. And then we're gonna pry that up. And then we're gonna come to this corner and pry up again. And then we're going to disconnect the wiring harness that's underneath this switch. So I went and got a smaller flat bladed screwdriver just because it's a little bit easier than my prying tool to get into here. So we'll pop that, and then I want to come to that corner there and do the same thing. There you go. Pop that free, and you can see right in here the wiring harness with the tabs. So, excuse me, you can just basically squeeze this tab and pop that wiring harness completely free. And then I will set this switch assembly aside so that nothing gets dirty or damaged or anything like that. So what's interesting about these F-150s, and I don't think it was this model year, because this is a 2013, but this body style was 2009 to 2014. And I think it was the body style afterwards, that there's actually a $5.3 million class action lawsuit against Ford specifically for door actuator issues. And so what I was going to mention earlier is that Ford is really renowned for having quite crappy door seals. And, you know, these ones here, you know, they leaked and constantly they would pull down. This one here, same thing, right? Like it'll just pull right off of there. You can see over here, the door seal pulls away really, really easily. And here in Northern Alberta, we get really, really cold temperatures. If you get any kind of moisture or humidity in here, say it's coming in and out of the shop, or you get a Chinook or something like that, below weather fluctuations, and you get moisture between the seal and the actual surface of the door. When you go to open the door, it tears the seal away. And then inadvertently, you can end up with moisture coming down here, getting into the door, and either going down on the inside of the window or over here in this big old pocket, this big old corner of the window here is just a complete water hole. And what happens is that down here at the base of the door, if this doesn't drain properly, well, this will fill up with water and freeze your door actuators, which, as you can imagine, is a real gem. So now maybe when you're working on this, just like me, it's 9 o'clock at night, and the shop, you know, in town, the hardware store's not open, and you don't have a metric wrench to pull these bolts off. Well, have I got good news for you. 8 millimeter, 6 millimeter, I don't have that shit either. 8 millimeter standard crossover is a 5/16, and a 6 millimeter is a 1/4 inch. So that's pretty, you know, it's gonna fit. So you get the 8 millimeter on there, take that one off right above the door, do that one first, and then we'll move up and do 1, 2, 3, and this door will just lift right off of there. So I got all my bolts out, and I'm just gonna go ahead and lift up, and you can see the whole door panel slides apart. And then this is the door latch assembly right here. Now you may want to remove that depending on what you're trying to accomplish. For the purposes of this, I will likely have to remove it. There's going to be on the inside here a couple of green tabs I'm going to have to squeeze to pop this cable assembly off. So this is what I'm talking about here. You can see there's a couple of green tabs on either side. What you can do is reach in there with a small set of needle nose pliers and squeeze your tabs, and that should pop that out. And then you can pull that out and back, free your cable, and then pop that up and out. And then, hey presto, you got full control of your door panel. Now, you're going to want to set that aside again somewhere clean, somewhere you can't get damaged, because you're going to want this thing to go on as easily as possible. So now this is what you're going to see once you remove your door panel. There's going to be this very thick layer of plastic that covers all of the nonsense that's inside there. That's really there to protect it. So again, very similarly, we're going to want to remove a piece of this or a portion of this. We're not going to cut anything out or anything like that, but we are going to peel it off and fold it back out of the way. But we're going to be as careful as we possibly can because we want this to go back in place. Now, this is the rod here that's in question. You can see that even right there, it got stuck a little bit, right? But that's what we want to figure out is what's underneath here that's causing that issue. So this is held on by some, I don't even know what this product is, but it's really, really sticky. So we're just gonna carefully peel that away. And same down here until we open this up enough so we can actually see what's going on in there. So now with the plastic removed here, you got a pretty good open view of things so you can see the actual push rod, the linkage assembly, and then we're just gonna sneak inside here. And you can see this is the actual actuator here. So you can see when I trigger it, locks, unlocks, locks, unlocks. So it is functioning as it's intended. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a little lubrication therapy to that actuator, and then even to the push rod itself. We'll make sure that it's adequately lubricated, because if there's anything hanging up there, I mean, you can see it looks a little bit beat up, right? So I don't know how something like that gets beat up, but we're going to want to rule that one out as a potential cause. I should actually mention too, for the folks that were having issues with potential wiring, we come in and we look at that actuator, you'll see right off the side of it there, that's where that harness is. And it's those wires right there. When you look at it, there almost seems to be, you know, there's not a lot of room to play, right? So maybe they're under a little bit of tension, and any kind of vibration or, you know, rough service, it's feasible that those wires could definitely pull out of that harness and be in rough shape. Now, as you can imagine, if I want to lubricate this push rod here and get it all the way down to the actuator down there, you can see kind of right here it comes down, and then it kicks off at a 45, and then there's another 45, and then it goes down to the actual actuator, and it's protected by all of this nonsense. So that's a little bit hard to get to. So I'm just going to take my WD-40 can, and right on the linkage there on the push rod, I'm just going to start applying a little bit and just let gravity do what gravity does and take it down there for me. I don't want to spray too much profusely in here and end up attracting dust and all kinds of things, because these doors aren't really sealed very well, right? So if I start getting a whole bunch of dust in here, that could lead to other issues too. But if I can get that down to where it needs to be, we'll cycle this a few more times, and then we'll reassemble the door, and hopefully that solves our problem. So full transparency, I got in there with some WD-40, and you know, okay, well, I'm getting WD-40 in all the places, but what I couldn't rule out, because I mean, this goes up and down, what I can't find on there is a friction point. So I can't rule out there's not something hanging up inside the actuator itself. And I can't rule out the fact that when I put everything back together, that something doesn't quite bind up and cause this to be an issue. So what I did is I actually got my grease gun out, a couple squirts on the end of my finger, and I just reached way back in there and got very familiar with this rod, and just put a nice thin coating of grease all the way on the rod, all the way down to the actuator. And then with a good dollop of grease right where the actuator cycles, I just pop this up and down while pushing grease in there with my finger. And we'll see if that works. I mean, it should work, right? But yeah, we're at a point now where I can go ahead and put this plastic back on, and then get our door panel reassembled, and we'll be back in business and see if this thing actually works. This stuff is still, it's pretty sticky, right? I should be able to just put a little pressure to it, and it's gonna stick there again. So I don't have to worry too much about applying silicone or any kind of adhesive to this. If I just apply a good bit of pressure all the way down and make sure it's stuck in the same place as where I took it off from, we'll be in good shape. Now I got my door panel here, and you can see the slots where this is going to sit with all the tabs, right? They all sit in these slots. So I'm just going to go ahead and rest the bottom tabs in those slots. And I'm going to get my cable, my door latch cable, and reinstall that. So I insert it there, and I pull back, and then just apply a little pressure, and that should click right in. And then I want to, because my bottom of the door is already sitting in the tabs it's going to go into, I'm going to lean the door in to there, and I'm going to pick up. And once I feel everything pop in, then I'm going to slide it down. The one thing that's mission critical when you put this on and you slide into the tabs is make sure that your actual pull knob is through this hole before you shunt everything down, because otherwise that's going to cause you grief. So we've got the door panel back on. We're just going to run down this side, make sure everything's aligned, which it is, perfect. Run down the other side, make sure that's aligned, which it is, so that's perfect. Now we can go ahead and reinstall our 6mm head screws in the top of the door here and in the base of the door panel, and then our 8mm head screw in the rear of the door latch assembly. Now, if you're trying to get that 6mm head screw in there and it's not quite lining up, you can just, there's going to be a little bit of movement here that you can manipulate this a little bit. So you kind of got to hold your tongue the right way just to make sure you get everything where it's supposed to be. So now that we got our bolts in here and in the base of the door panel and up top here, we're going to go ahead and reinstall the actual window switch, which real easy, just a wiring harness, clips right in. Wait, nice clicking noise, that's what we want to hear. We'll go ahead, front side first, then the back side. Hey presto, Bob's your uncle. Next we want to install this last piece of trim which goes right here. Before we do that, you can see there's metal tabs in here, top and bottom. We just want to have a quick look at those to make sure that we didn't damage anything, break any plastic or bend anything before we go ahead and reinstall. Then slide that right on there. Snap in at the bottom, snap at the top, check the bottom again. There you have your door reinstalled. So we're going to put the key in the ignition and roll the window up and see if we can lock and unlock this a couple of times. And hopefully this problem is resolved. Actually, I think I don't need to roll the windows up. You guys want to see this, right? So here's our pull knob here, and unlock, lock, unlock, lock, unlock. Things seem to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. So hopefully we've solved this problem. I'm just going to depress that manually, hit the lock button, and then hit the unlock button. That was the only other thing I could find as a common denominator, is if it's ever got locked manually and then somebody hit the lock button a couple of times and then go to hit the unlock and it would stick. But it seems that it's not doing that. So I think I'm going to go ahead and call this problem solved. Check back in with me in a couple weeks and I'll let you know how this all played out. Now, if you found this helpful, well, maybe I've got one more for you, because you probably own an F-150. You probably got all the same problems I have. I also did a video on the sticky tailgate latch. A common problem with the F-150s is you can pull on that and pull on that and pull on that, and you're going to get nowhere. So there's a video I did on how to adjust the linkage and properly lubricate all your moving parts inside your F-150 tailgate for the 2009 to 2014 body style. Now, further to that, if you found this helpful and you're also interested in farming, homesteading, raising your own food, doing a little bit of prepping, now would be a really good time for you to go down below, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, binge watch a whole bunch of our other videos, and you might just learn something new that's helpful. But it is getting on close to, I think, 9:30, 9:40-ish, so it'll be a really good time for me to head inside the house and go fix myself up a cup of tea. So I'll let you go for now. I hope you have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.